All right, so we've already done adding polynomials and subtracting polynomials. Now we're looking at multiplying polynomials. So difference, or a few differences, but one thing is if we had x to the fourth and an x squared, we couldn't add these. We couldn't subtract these because they have different exponents, right? These are not like terms. But when you're multiplying, okay, you can combine them when you multiply. So what you do, if you remember your rules from Algebra 1, when you multiply, you keep your base, you keep that variable the same, but then you add the exponents. So this would be x to the 4 plus 2 power, and we know 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, just a little refresher on that. So when you multiply, you can combine non-like terms, and when you do that, you add the exponents. Okay, when they're multiplied, you add the exponents. So we get x to the 6th power. Okay, so there are two main ways that we're going to look at to solve these, distribution and box method. If you're doing research online, you'll learn about the FOIL method. FOIL method is great, but it only works for examples like this. It doesn't work for all examples. These two ways work for all examples, so we're going to stick with those. Okay, so our first example, we have the binomial 3x plus 2 times the binomial x minus 4. So we're going to look at it both ways, all right? So let's do the box method first. This is the way I think most people prefer to do it, or most students your age prefer to do it. So this is the box method. What you do is you're going to take one binomial and you're going to put it on the side of the box. Okay, so we need 2 rows because we have 2 terms. So I can put 3x plus 2 like this on the side of my box. And then I have 2 terms in the other one, so I need 2 going across, okay? So this is gonna be my box, okay? I have a 2 by 2 because I have binomial times a binomial, 2 by 2. And then I'll put my x and my minus 4 up top. Now what you're gonna do is in each box, you're gonna look to the left and to the right, and you're gonna multiply those, okay? So right here, if I look to the left, I have 3x, up above I have x. If you don't see an exponent on your variable, then there is an exponent of 1. So I would go ahead and add those so that you don't forget. So in front of my x, there's just a 1. You don't see a number, it's a 1, right? So this is 3 times 1, which is 3. And then x to the first power times x to the first power gives you x to the 1 plus 1 gives us 2. So 3x times x is 3x squared. And then we can go to this box. We look to the left and we have a positive 2. Up above we have an x. So 2 times x is just 2x. And then we can go to this box. We look above, we have a negative 4. We look to the left and we have a 3x. Okay, so we can multiply our whole numbers. Negative 4 times 3 gives us a negative 12. And x, there aren't any other x's, so we just bring this x over. Please do not forget to bring that x over. It's one of the biggest places I see mistakes. And then we have negative 4 times 2, which is a negative 8. Okay. Most of the time, you're gonna have like terms on that diagonal. These are like terms because they're just x to the power of 1, right? So you can go ahead and combine those right there if you want, or you can list it out. So we have a 3x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 8. And once again, you can see those like terms. So this gives us 3x squared. Negative 12x plus 2x is a negative 10x minus 8. And that is your answer. Okay? But like I said, you could also look at the diagonal and see if like terms there. And you could have already gone ahead and said 3x squared. Combine those to get negative 10x, then brought down your negative 8. And with distribution, okay, it's just like you've always done with distribution. Like if you had just 2 times x minus 4 in parentheses, you would do 2 times x and 2 times negative 4. You're doing the same thing, okay? So 3x plus 2 and x minus 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the first term in the first set of parentheses in your first polynomial, and you're going to multiply it by both numbers in the second polynomial, okay? So we would do 3x times x, where I know when you multiply, you add those exponents. So here we have exponents of 1. So 3x times x gives us a 3x squared. And then you do 3x times a negative 4, right? That negative goes with the 4. So we have 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12. And then you bring down your x because there's not another x to multiply with. Then you move on to your next number in your first set of parentheses, which is a positive 2. And then you multiply it by both terms. So 2 times x gives us 2x. And 2 times a negative 4 gives us a negative 8. And then you combine those like terms in the middle. So you have 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Same thing we had here. Either method is perfectly fine. I think most people your age prefer the box method. It keeps you from getting a little confused, I think. But either way works fine. I do this way. It's whatever preference you have. All right, y'all would hate me if I made this video too long because I can't show both ways for every problem. So I'll do a little of both. For this one, we'll just do the box method. Okay, so we have a binomial times a trinomial, which means when I make my box, it needs to be a 2 by 3. It doesn't matter which side is your 2 and which side is your 3. So we'll just do a 2 by 3 going this way. So we'll put 3x minus 5. And then we have 2x squared. And then we'll have our positive 3x. And then we'll have our minus 1. Okay? So we're going to multiply. 3x times 2x squared. 3 times 2, our whole numbers, give us 6. And then we have x to the, and we're going to, when we multiply, we add our exponents. So 1 plus 2 gives me 3. Okay? And then down here, it doesn't matter which order you go in. So down here, we have negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10. This one has x's, this one doesn't. So you just bring the x squared down. And then in this box, 3 times 3 is 9. X to first power times x to first power. You add their exponents, so 1 plus 1 gives us 2. And then 3x times a negative 5. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, and we bring that x down. And then we have 3x times a negative 1, which gives us a negative 3x. And negative 1 times a negative 5. Negative times a negative give us a positive 5. Okay, so you can choose to list out all of these, or you can notice your diagonals are going to be like terms. And you can go ahead and kind of combine this. So negative 10x squared plus a 9x squared would leave you with a negative x squared. And negative 15x minus 3x leaves you with a negative 18x. So your total answer would be a 6x cubed, because we like to go from largest exponent to smallest. So 6x cubed minus x squared minus 18x, and then a positive 5. All right, and our next one thing I will say real quick is if I go too slow for you, you can always change the speed of this YouTube video, okay? Change it to 1.25 or 1.5. I wouldn't go any higher than that. But you could change it to speed it up a little bit if you needed to. All right, so x minus 3 times x plus 3. We'll just do a box again for this one. So we have a 2 by 2. So x minus 3 and x plus 3. X times x is an x squared because you're adding the exponents of 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Negative 3 times x is just a negative 3x. 3 times x is a 3x. 3 times a negative 3 is a negative 9. Okay. So then we have like terms on the diagonal. Negative 3x and a positive 3x. If you have negative 3x plus 3x, they cancel each other out. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, right? So then these cancel, and you're just left with an x squared minus 9. And that's it. All right, we can do this one both ways. So, box way, we have a 2 by 2. So I have a 2x plus 6, and I have a 3x minus 5. So first box, we have 2 times 3, which is 6. X times x is going to be an x squared. You're going to see this one all the time. Always remember x times x is x squared. 6 times 3x is 18x. 2x times negative 5 gives me a negative 10x. And then negative 5 times 6 is a negative 30. You have like terms on that diagonal. So we get a 6x squared. 18x minus 10x gives you a positive 8x. And then minus 30. Okay. And distribution. Okay, so we'll take 2x and we'll multiply it by 3x. 2x times 3x gives us 6x squared. 2x times a negative 5 gives us a negative 10x. And then we move on to our next number. Positive 6 times a 3x gives us a positive 18x. And then 6 times negative 5 gives us a negative 30. You have your like terms right there in the middle. Oops, I'm about to run off the page. So you get 6x squared plus 8x minus 30. Either way, you get the exact same thing. All right, one more example, just because this does take some practice. Let's look at one where we have a trinomial times a trinomial. So it's going to be a 3 by 3. We'll do the box for this one. The bigger they get, the more I think the box helps keep it all in order for you. But it's still your preference. 2x squared plus 2x minus 1. And then 3x squared minus x plus 2. Okay. So in this first box, 2 times 3 gives us a 6. And then x squared times x squared, you add your exponents. So we get x to the 4th because 2 plus 2 is 4. The next box, 2x times 3x squared. 2 and 3 give us 6. And then x to the 1st times x squared gives us x to the 3rd. And negative 1 times the 3x squared just gives us a negative 3x squared. Negative 1x times 2x squared gives us a negative 2. And then x to the 2 plus 1, which is 3. Notice you have those like terms already on that diagonal, so you can kind of see you're doing it correctly. And then we have 2x times a negative x, so negative 1 times 2 is a negative 2. And then x times x is an x squared. And then negative 1 times a negative x. Negative times a negative makes it a positive 1x. Then we have 2 times 2x squared, which is 4x squared. 2 times 2x, which is 4x. And 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2. Okay, So notice your diagonals have like terms. Okay. If you want to list it all out so you don't get confused trying to do that, you can. So you would have a 6x to the 4th, and then a positive 6x cubed. I'm going to list out my like term next to it, minus a 2x cubed. Then I'll list out this row, minus 3x squared, minus 2x squared, plus 4x squared. And then we have a plus x plus 4x and a minus 2. Okay, so double check you did it correctly. 6x to the 4th, 6x cubed minus 2x cubed. A minus 3x squared minus 2x squared, positive 4x squared, positive x, positive 4x, and a negative 2. Right? So now we can add our like terms. Okay. If we have, I'll bring my 6x to the 4th down. Positive 6x cubed minus 2x cubed gives us a positive 4x cubed. Then we have a negative 3x squared minus 2x squared plus 4x squared. So negative 3 minus 2 is a negative 5, plus 4 leaves you with a negative 1x squared. And then we have positive x plus 4x, which gives me a positive 5x minus 2. You're not going to have many long ones like that. I just needed to show you one example just in case you see one in the future. And the last things we want to talk about is area and volume. Okay, so to find area and volume, you multiply, so we want to look at some examples like that. Pretty straightforward, just like what you've been doing. It just added a picture for you. So your formula for the area of a rectangle is base times height. So it gives you your base, it gives you your height. So all you need to do is multiply them. So your area is going to equal your base times your height. So we can just slap this in a box real quick. 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 5. 3x times 2x, 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x squared. Negative 2 times 2x is a negative 4x. 3x times 5 is 15x. And 5 times negative 2 is a negative 10. With our like terms diagonal for each other. So your area is equal to 6x squared. And then negative 4x plus 15x gives you a positive 11x. And then minus 10. So that is your area. Same thing with the triangle, you just have a little bit different formula for your area. Basically, it's 1/2 times your base times height, or just divide your base times your height by 2. It's the same thing, okay? So, area equals 1/2 times our base, which is 6x minus 4, times our height, which is 5x minus 3, okay? So let's go ahead and put those in a box. 6x minus 4 and 5x minus 3. So 6x times 5x is 30x. Negative 4 times 5x is a negative 20x. 6x times negative 3 is a negative 18x. And negative 3 times negative 4, the negative times a negative makes it a positive 12. But don't forget about that 1/2. We're dividing by 2. So you have 1/2 times, I'm going to put all this in parentheses because we still have to multiply it by 1/2. Oh, and I messed up. 6x times 5x is a 30x squared. Whew. Sorry, guys. Almost messed us up there. All right, so we have 30x squared. And then we have our like terms here. Negative 20x minus 18x makes it a negative 38x. and then a positive 12. All right. And then we gotta multiply these by 1/2, which is just the same as dividing by 2. So half of 30 is 15x squared. Half of 38, negative 38 would be a negative 19x, and half of 12 would be 6. And that's it. Last but not least is volume. The formula for volume is length times width times height. They love to put ones like these on district tests because it makes you multiply 2 times. So you multiply your length times your width, and then you get that answer and multiply that answer by your height. Okay, so let's look at it. So here we have our length, our width, and our height. Okay, so volume is going to equal 2x plus 1 times x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the first two, okay? We're going to take these two and we're going to multiply those together. So 2x plus 1 and x plus 2. 2x times x gives us a 2x squared. X times 1 is just 1x. 2x times 2 is 4x. And 2 times 1 is 2. Okay. So then these two multiplied together are going to give us a 2x squared. We can add up our like terms. X plus 4x gives us 5x. And then plus 2. And then I'm just going to bring this one down. Okay, so now I multiplied my length times my width and got an answer. Now I need to multiply that, because that's my length and width combined, by my height. Okay, so we're going to do another box, and this one's going to be a 3 by 2. Okay, so 2x squared plus 5x plus 2, and then 2x minus 1. So now we're multiplying these two together, right? So 2x squared times 2x, 2 times 2 is 4, and x squared times x to the first gives us x to the third, because 2 plus 1 is 3. 5x times 2x gives us 10x squared, and 2x times 2 gives us 4x. Right? And then we have 2x squared times a negative 1, so we just get a negative 2x squared. Negative 1 times 5x gives us a negative 5x, and negative 1 times 2 gives us a negative 2. So this is going to be our final answer because we will have combined all of them at this point, right? So I'll just list it out down here. So we have a 4x cubed. If you want to go ahead and do your like terms, you can. So 10x squared minus 2x squared gives us a positive 8x squared. And then a negative 5x and a positive 4x combine to give me a negative 1x. And we bring down our minus 2. And that is it.